anybody has a mic that they want up here, y'all can go ahead and bring it up if you want to.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming back to Mobile. Really exciting time. Geez, Molly, where do I start? This has been it's been a really fun year. It's been it's been different. It's been a different process with the addition of the juniors. So a lot of you have probably heard me say this is our best roster. I don't mean to sound boastful at all. These should be our best rosters when you can open up all the underclassmen pool. It's certainly helped. It's certainly helped the star power of the game. Most of the juniors that we took, I think that number ended up being like 16 or 17. Those guys for us were all, fourth round or higher players, mostly day 2 players. So, and some day 1 players. So it's certainly helped to the game. We're excited about this week. 75th is a big year for us. Bringing all these legends back is going to be awesome on Friday in the game. So there's just an added star power to the week. It just feels a little bit different this year. I want to thank our staff. Our staff has put so much into this year. Just even with the 75th anniversary gala, to have that in any other time of the year would have been a major lift. But to try to, plop that down in the middle of Senior Bowl week has taken a lot of efforts from everyone on our staff. So really proud of everyone, how the group came together. I mean, we're a 6-person crew here in Mobile, and of course we have scouts all around the country, but the people doing the heavy lifting, there's 6 individuals, so did an unbelievable job. Molly Middleton is here, Dave Rogers is here, Johnny Williams is here, and then Jack Gilmore, our DFO, Aaron McDowell, and Elizabeth Dupree. So really proud of how the group came together. I know you guys can tell when you come every year. I mean, what makes this game different is the community support. It's very different than any other all-star game. I got to thank our 400-person volunteer committee, and just on Sunday, player arrival day, with travel mishaps it's funny. My phone was blowing up all day with agents and flight changes and everything of that nature, and I'm like, we're on it. We got it. Our transportation committee's all over this. Don't worry about it. So it takes a lot of people to pull this week off, and I just want to thank all of them. So I'll open up to questions.
You're right here.
Yeah.
We got a mic.
Yeah. Oh, got a mic.
Here, we'll bring Mike to you.
Jim, the amount of total underclassmen that declared for the draft this year was in the 50s, which is lower than most recent years. And some people think that this is a trend because of NIL. Do you at the Senior Bowl hope to reverse this trend by allowing underclassmen to participate?
Oh, I never thought about that angle. It's certainly a trend. I mean, I think we topped out in 2019. There was over 140. So to be down in the 50s, just whatever that is, 5 years later, certainly shows where this thing's going with NIL. It wiped out day 3 of the draft. There were some really interesting dynamics for this draft. When we're trying to put together the roster, you certainly can't invite 120, 130 seniors right out of the chutes in November. We had to allocate some roster spots to those juniors in case they came out. And then at certain positions, guys, we had what we call upsets. There was guys that went back to school that we didn't think would go back to school because of NIL money. There was guys that we were hoping to get that maybe we didn't get. So then when we came back to the next group of seniors who are really good players, they were gone. They were in the portal. They were at a different school. They'd already accepted NIL money to go back for another year and committed. And at that point, once they commit to go back to college, we certainly can't reach out if we want to have our relationships at the college level. Reach out and try to lure guys back into the draft process. So it was what it was, but it was really unique. So I think some of you may have seen a post that I had a couple weeks ago. I mean, rounds 5 through 7 on our board got wiped out in the month of December. So we'll see what it looks like in April. But NIL is certainly playing a role. And NIL is a great thing for the players, awesome thing, but it does have an effect on the draft, whatever that might be. I'm certainly not, I don't think the NIL is a negative thing. I think it's great for the players, but it definitely affects the draft.
So you think drafting round 6 and 7 could be
Yeah, if I got day 3 picks, I'm trading and moving around. I'm moving up in those first 4 rounds for sure. I mean, and it's not just our board. I'm talking to teams in the league; they got wiped out as well. So I think you're going to see a lot of movement of teams either trying to move up in the first 4 rounds or trying to move out and get picks for next year.
Right over here.
So with the juniors added to this year's Senior Bowl, have you had any discussions about renaming the Senior Bowl?
Absolutely not. The Senior Bowl is the Senior Bowl. Everyone knows what it is. We don't need to rename it.
Back over here behind him.
What was the real reasoning why you started adding the third-year players and the juniors? What was the talk about it, and what was the real reason why you really wanted to implement that and have it really going forward for your Senior Bowl event?
We did it because the league let us do it. That wasn't our call at all. The 32 teams had wanted that rule implemented a long time ago. So it finally came to fruition. And I don't know what the timing was, why the timing was. We started having talks with the league office in August about it. So people asked, did that catch you off guard? It definitely didn't catch us off guard. Our scouts were watching juniors all fall. We were building the board with the juniors. So, we kind of anticipated. Now, the timing was a little weird in early November when they finally announced it. I think it caught some players off guard. I didn't think they knew that they were going to be eligible to play in the Senior Bowl. So, but it didn't change our process. Hey, if you want to open up a great pool of players, we're going to take it. But that was an NFL decision.
Right here.
Jim, when you found out that juniors were going to be able to come here, did it happen quickly enough for you to prepare? Did it create a scramble, that kind of thing?
No, not at all, Chase. No, we, like I said, our guys were out all fall watching the juniors. We weren't going to post about them on social media just because, you're trying not to entice these guys to come out. No, if they come out, we're going to be ready. But again, we're always aware of our relationships at the college level. I worked, I was in those buildings for 20 years. I've worked way too hard at those relationships. You see all the coaches that are coming these next couple days. I mean, it's going to be a who's who of college football on our sideline. So we weren't going to promote that we were looking at those underclassmen, and I don't even know if we will next year. We don't want to incentivize guys coming out of college football, but if they come, we're going to be ready.
Right over here. Obviously, a lot of guys on the roster, like everywhere else, have transferred, been at different schools. How does that affect NFL evaluation? They've got seen how they pick up a new system, seen how they play in a different system. How does that affect draft status and all that, how the NFL teams view?
Well, it can certainly clean up the evaluation process in a couple ways. You're going to see a guy probably make a move because he wasn't getting an opportunity or maybe he wasn't a right fit. I think the volatility at the coaching level with coaches jumping a lot now. You're getting recruited by one staff, and the next thing you know, they're up and gone, and you're stuck in a system with a new staff that doesn't fit you. So I think you see guys in more schemes on the field and then off the field too. Now you're exposed to basically 2 buildings worth of people that know these players, and that's all you're trying to do is figure these guys out. So when you have, and sometimes 2, 3, sometimes 4 buildings worth of staff members where you can go to and try to learn the players, that's a great thing from an NFL perspective.
Jim, you've got a record number of Oregon players here, and Bo being one of them. But wanted to ask you about 2 other guys
Is
there.
Bo here?
He's right
Right next to you. But with Jackson Powers-Johnson, the Remington Trophy winner, and Kyrie Jackson, formerly of Alabama, 2 guys who were first-year starters. One at a center spot, hadn't had a lot of experience before that, and Kyrie, who a year ago I don't think a lot of people would have suspected would be here.
Yeah.
What went into the selection process to bring them when they're basically just each a one-year starter at this level?
Yeah, they were both pretty easy. I mean, Jackson is, he's a fun guy to watch because you don't see many big guys get out in space and move like him and finish like him, and he plays with a real edge. And I was going up the escalator with him yesterday, and I asked him where are you from? And he said Utah, and I'm like, well, who are you a fan of growing up? And he said Utah, and I'm like, well, why didn't you go there? He's like, they told me I couldn't play college football at that level, and he said Oregon offered him, and he jumped at it. So he's got a chip on his shoulder. It's really cool to be around him. He's got a confidence about him, and you want centers to have that. I mean, I know you've been around him. You know the player. So he was an easy one. Then Kyrie, we watched last year. Being in Alabama, but it was a tough eval because it was basically special team stuff. Now, had he stayed in, he would have been a fringe guy for us last year because you're talking about a 6'3+ corner that's going to run 4 threes, has all those tools. And there was people in the building up there in Tuscaloosa over the last couple of years that thought he was the most talented DB in that room, which is saying a lot. So it was cool to see him on the field and get whatever it was. I mean, his on-field reps just went through the roof this year. So after that Colorado game, when they tried to pick on him a little bit and he responded with 5 PBUs, that was a pretty easy one for us.
Hey, Jim. National championship game was just a couple weeks ago. Juniors declare in between then and now. It's always been a hectic time of the year for you anyway. Now with the potential of having 12 teams in the playoff instead of 4, a lot of guys waiting until maybe after they're out of the playoff to make a decision. Is that going to kind of really make a schedule crunch there for you and for some of these juniors about making their decision after a season going forward?
Yeah, I don't know if it can get me more crunch than it was this year. No, we'll adapt. We adapted this year, but yeah, certainly. I mean, I think with the junior rule, we felt pretty good about our roster in previous years at the beginning of December, pretty much locked in. I mean, we need to have a guy drop here or there, whether it's injuries or Daniel Jeremiah puts him in his mock top 10 and he pulls out or something like that. Thanks, DJ. But no, so this year, I mean, we took it all the way up. I mean, you're in January and, Michigan's playing and so it's Michigan, Washington, Texas. I mean, those guys all have a lot of good players. So, yeah, we'll adapt. But I don't think it's going to condense the timetable anymore. I mean, what's going to do with me, I'm going to be crossing my fingers in all those playoff games, hoping guys don't get hurt. So.
Last question over here.
Jim, as a Michigan alum, I got to imagine you're pretty happy about the size and sheer volume of Michigan players here today. Could you speak to that class and Michigan's draft class as a whole? Because Jim Harbaugh said that they think they can break the Georgia record.
Yeah, I think they would have a chance. I think some of those guys are going to go back. But yeah, it was nice just to beat Alabama, just so I didn't have to hear it from everyone down here living in enemy territory. But no, it's a great class that Jim and that staff put together and developed. I mean, a lot of those guys, really developed over their time. So, I just saw Roman Wilson in the hallway out there. I think Roman's going to have a huge week. He was on pace for a monster year that first half of the year before they kind of took the air out of the ball there at Michigan. But we got 2 of the offensive linemen, Keegan and Henderson. Those guys both had really good years. I thought Trevor played his best ball like the last month of the year. Clearly better than I'd ever seen him play. Defensively, with Braden McGregor and Jalen Harrell, those guys, 3-4 outside linebacker types. So it'll be cool. Like, Braden kicked inside in that Alabama game and had a couple sacks. So I know he's looking forward to getting some inside rush reps. The guy we lost after the championship game was Mikey Sanders-Strill, so that would have been good. And then Michael Barrett had to pull last week. He had a kind of a injury deal that he didn't have all season. He had it while he was training. So that's the other part of it, guys. Like all these guys get done playing college football, and then they all start training for the combine, and it's a whole different set of muscles they're using and everything. So they, susceptible to pulls and whatnot. That's what happened with Michael Barrett. So excited. It'll be exciting to see some of those winged helmets down there. It'll be good. All right. Thanks everyone. Thanks for coming.